case. So case study number 3 is a little bit different in that in this case the parents were separated under the same roof, which comes with very unique challenges as well. So they had a relatively amicable separation but were yet to settle their property matters. So they were still residing in the same home. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they were really wanting to get some arrangements in place for the children before they settled their property and then moved out of the family home. Safety is always our priority, so we wanted to make sure, particularly when people are separated under the same roof, that mediation would not create any risk or safety issues. And it's also really important that when people are engaging with our service and engaging with the process, that they feel really comfortable and in a really good space to be able to make decisions for their children. Sometimes very early on after separation, when you're still deciding who's moving out and things like that, that can be a difficult space to work in because people are really going through a lot of emotions and there's a lot of competing priorities. But sometimes it does work where the parents are somewhat amicable and that where they've got some relatively good communication. The key is that what happens in mediation and those conversations really need to remain in that kind of forum and not be discussed outside of the mediation, and that really goes in any mediation. I think the difficulty in this one was because they knew that their property was going to, or they were going to go through a property mediation, there was a little bit of tension around who would move out of the family home and what that was going to look like. There was Dad didn't really know where he was going to move to. There was some talk around him being the one who would move out, but he wasn't sure how far away he was going to move, and obviously that impacts on what kind of agreement parents are able to reach, because we need to be, realistic and practical around travel for the children, distance from schools, things like that. So what was decided was that the parents would implement an interim arrangement. So that would enable them to settle the property and move out of the family home. And probably over a 6 to 8 month period, they would have some interim arrangements in place and Dad would rent close by, and then they would come back and have those discussions around more long-term matters and try and get something more permanent in place. The outcome was good. I think they were really happy to have that structure for the children and have those conversations with the children over the next little while around how things might look when Dad moves out and Mum and Dad are no longer living together. And I think it gave them that security that they would still see both parents and have a relationship with both parents even post-separation. I think the thing that comes to mind is really about not rushing into things and being able to have that time to really think about and consider what arrangements you're putting in place for the children, and to know that there is scope to review those arrangements and consider things that might not be working all that effectively. And I guess also the other thing is think about how you will resolve conflict going forward. And that's something that's often talked about in mediation, in that parents have a conversation around, well, if issues come up in the future, how are we going to navigate those in our post-separation relationship?